Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and it feels like things have changed since the Japanese Pokemon Unite beta back in July, so I want to update my tier list for the official launch of Pokemon Unite. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, share with all your friends on social media, and comment down below. Also, streaming on Twitch, follow me if you haven't already. Let's get into this one because things are already pretty weird. I have Venusaur at D tier. Spoiler alert, this is the only Pokemon I consider D tier, which is pretty much a free loss if it's on your team or a free win if it's on the opposing team. It feels like some Pokemon got buffs or nerfs that were needed, and Venusaur just kind of got ignored, which really makes it feel not as satisfying or impactful as really any other Pokemon in the game. If you're thinking about picking Venusaur, pick Pikachu instead, or Alolan Ninetales, or any other Pokemon feels like it accomplishes more than Venusaur. Sure, Venusaur mains out there are going to be upset, or people that like Venusaur or Bulbasaur, but you do you, it's just not that great of a Pokemon. However, Gengar. This is where things get really weird because I had Venusaur and Gengar at C tier in my last tier list video. Gengar's S tier now. I have no idea what happened. When I was playing the beta, Gengar never worried me. Even Hex. Like, people were like, oh, Sludge Bomb Hex, that's the best way to play Gengar. It's really strong. Maybe it was bugged. Maybe the values were under-tuned. I don't know. Like, Gengar posed no threat in any Pokemon Unite game ever until the launch. And now, it's just way too strong. It got way too buffed. I don't know what happened. This thing's one-shotting me off of like 2 or 3 ability uses. It Unite moves and it wipes out my entire team. It's busted now. Gengar is absolutely ridiculous. It's really only the Hex moveset that works, but still, like, I have no idea what happened. And it's kind of weird to think that the stress test led to such drastic balance changes, but even Gengar mains like, yeah, something's up. He just feels stronger, even though I'm doing the same thing. Now I'm getting way more rewards. So Gengar, if you were considering it, or if you like played around with it for a bit, yeah, just main this Pokemon. It is ridiculous. Mr. Mime. I'm putting Mr. Mime in A tier because I am seeing some dedicated Mr. Mime players that are absolutely ruining my teammates in game. And that's really the thing about Mr. Mime. Very, very, very high skill cap Pokemon, knowing when to place a barrier, getting like the perfect like barrier setup into the push, into the stun. And the thing is, Mr. Mime just has one of the best Unite moves in the game. It's such insane disruption. It Unite moves, the entire team fight gets shut down. If it has a buddy barrier, it's also being supportive, and then it's stunning and pushing people around and just wreaking havoc at all stages of the game. So Mr. Mime, really good. Just gonna go in order, I guess. Snorlax, best tank in the game. A lot of people are saying that. That seems to be just a really safe and good consensus. Block, one of the best moves. Also, if you go Heavy Slam, it's like a Malphite ultimate on a 7-second cooldown. Can be interrupted though, so it's not exactly like Malphite ultimate. Like, you can get caught out by a couple of weird things and have it get stopped. But really, you go in, you knock everyone up, you block up, you split the team fight, you stun all their carries, Unite move, that's more CC, you use Heavy Slam again, and it's really hard to kill Snorlax. It has good laning, it's just good. It's always good. Snorlax gets things done. It's like the perfect tank in the game. Now this is where things get weird. People in the beta, they're like, yo, Absol's S tier, Absol's A tier. I'm putting it at B+. Because the thing is, Zeraora, let's go find our buddy. Zeraora's S+ tier. Zeraora, best character in the game. And that also might suggest that things from the beta got like buffed or nerfed or some kind of balance adjustment, because Zeraora's the new thing and it's way too strong, and it's reminiscent of some of the way too strong things from the beta. So we're gonna talk more about Zeraora, but let's go back to Absol. Why pick Absol when you can pick Zeraora? Like, why pick most of the roster when you can pick Zeraora at this point? And Absol feels like it got its damage cut down, and maybe there's just like a lot of players that were new, not experienced with MOBAs, or just quick to complain, where it's like, Absol showed up and one-shot me. Strafe the Unite move. If it bounces on you, just CC it. Like, it was a good assassin, but it wasn't like as powerful as people were saying. Guess the complaints got to the devs toned it down a bit, or maybe it's the same, but Gengar and Zeraora are so strong now, Absol is just not as good, so it feels like it's a lower tier. Maybe it's still A, probably B now. I don't know, just pick one of these two if you want a speedster. Yeah. Garchomp, still putting Garchomp at A tier, because once you become Garchomp, once you go online, the mid-game, mid-ish late, like, not the exact mid-game, but not also into the late game, Just like, there's a magical time where Garchomp just turns on and it can start 1v2ing without Unite move, 1v4ing or 1v5ing with it. And if Garchomp gets ahead early, like, Gabite, really weak. Like, you have to really understand the weaknesses, or, yeah, Gible and Gabite, pretty weak. But if something happens, if you get a really good gank, if you take Dreadnought and Rotom and you get a dunk and you're just like super scale, there's nothing you can do about it. Garchomp gets ahead and the game's over, or if Garchomp falls behind, it eventually gets to the late game and then it's really strong. So Garchomp, one of the best melee Pokemon in the game. Lucario, I have a tough time figuring out where Lucario goes because I've seen a lot of A tier Lucario in my games. I've also seen a lot of C tier Lucario in my games, and again, it feels like once Lucario gets ahead, it's really strong. It can be unstoppable, but not as unstoppable as Garchomp, so like B+. And I might have to make another one, but it's like, it's weird, because yeah, a lot of these things feel B+. Pokemon Unite, still feeling pretty similar to how I felt in the beta, where most Pokemon are good. If you pick a main that isn't Venusaur or Slowbro, you can actually have serious impact in the game and just be successful at many stages of it. Like, Lucario, strong, it's good, sticks on people, can take over early game, can take over mid game, but not super reliable or consistent. However, in the hands of a good player, it's absurd. So that's it on Lucario. Next up, we have Crustal. Crustal, like, fell to B tier. Once again, like, I don't know what happened, but feels like Crustal got nerfed. There we go. I made a B tier. Like, it's still really nasty what this Pokemon does with X-Scissor, but it doesn't Shell Smash then become the best Pokemon in every stat line across the entire game. Some people are saying, like, yeah, it does feel slower. Yeah, I do feel a bit more vulnerable. I just haven't seen good Crustal players, though, and people aren't taking Shell Smash anymore. They're taking the Rock Wall, which is trolling. Never take that. Shell Smash, that's what gives you just damage. Like, you just run into fights, and you can do something. Even nerfed Crustal is still pretty strong if you can open it up. It's just not free. It's not brain dead. You don't get to walk into any two players into the game, Shell Smash, and then kill them, or you can't just walk into 5 people, Unite move, and start claiming kills and blocking people out and stuffing them out. So I think Crustal's balanced can be good, but it's not overwhelmingly absurdly dominant. And it doesn't have like a super high skill cap. People are like, oh, why are you putting Mr. Mime at A if you have to work so hard to get it to A? It feels more B, and some people just have no respect for this thing at all. But it's like, Mr. Mime can consistently perform good in the right hands. Crustal, low skill cap, Unga Bunga, Shell Smash, just run at people and find success, but it's not free anymore. So Crustal, just good. Greninja, once again, like a Pokemon that I think, like a lot of people put in S tier in the beginning. I considered it A tier. Devs might have heard that, and then they nerfed it, and now it's like B tier. I don't know, just Greninja, not seeing a lot of it, not seeing a lot of success on it. It feels very predictable, and the thing is, like, one of your abilities is just an out. Double team not really working. Smokescreen, I consider Smokescreen a concession of the fight. Like, not like, oh, I'm gonna use Smokescreen to turn into an assassin or play around or like do anything. It's like, nah, that means you got blown up, you Smokescreen, and you can't show your face again or else you're dead. So there's just too many shenanigans in the game, and once again, it might just be that Gengar and Zeraora are just oppressing every other Pokemon to where, like, yeah, you should be A tier, but why? You have no reason picking Greninja because it's not going to do as much as these Pokemon ever. So yeah, just be one of these two instead. So Greninja feeling kind of underwhelming. Also, I'm going to cheat, skip ahead a little bit. Cinderace, still S tier. And that's the thing. Like, there's only 2 true 80 carries in the game. It gets a little complicated when we talk about, like, auto-attack focused characters. But really, if we're talking about, like, ranged, crazy, scaling, auto-attack damage, Cinderace, Greninja, why pick Greninja when you can just be Cinderace? You know, you still have an out in your feint, so you become invulnerable and just immune to damage, and then you just position and start doing more damage, more impact, more everything than Greninja, and the Unite move's pretty strong. It does feel like they buffed Greninja's Unite move. Felt very underwhelming in the beta, so I don't know, something happened with Greninja, slightly better Unite move, doesn't feel as good overall. Cinderace still really strong in every regard. Talonflame, once again, another like S-A tier Pokemon, feels B tier. I haven't seen Talonflame do jack in any of my games. And I would feel like at this point, Talonflame should have been impactful. And I wasn't believing in Talonflame even in the beta. I wanted to put it in B+ tier. But I was like, everyone's saying it's A tier, everyone's saying it's S tier, so it has, like, is there something I'm missing? Nah, Talonflame is just very out of place. It gets blown up in team fights. And the game is like really team fight oriented. It's like, what's Talonflame going to do at a Zapdos fight? it can't really scoop people too far away because there's so much terrain around. And yeah, it can get caught out, and even in like a non-Zapdos team fight in like a random lane, top or bot, it's whatever. Also, since it's a 3-stage evolution, it takes a while to scale. But if you're playing around scaling, then be Cinderace, be Garchomp. You know, Talonflame just takes too long to come online, and while it is like a scoring-based speedster, doesn't really do much. Next up, we have Charizard. Charizard just feels C tier, except when it Unite moves. Like, good Charizards can definitely be B+, but overall, it just feels like if you're picking up Charizard, trying to learn the game, trying to figure out what's going on, it's just too easy to bully a Charmander in lane. It's just too hard for Charizard to really get there. And even when it becomes Charizard, it's still not super strong for a while. Like, you need your level 11, level 13 power-up moves, and then you start to feel a bit more impactful, but its basic abilities just don't do anything. It's really Charizard's all Unite move. It unites, it starts melting people with Flamethrower, it seismic tosses someone, and then it goes through another ability rotation, and it felt like it did something. But it doesn't have like the absurd impact as some of the other Pokemon in the game. Next up, we have Eldegoss. I want to say B tier, but still Eldegoss, like B+ tier. It got nerfed somehow. Like, Eldegoss just doesn't feel as unkillable and unstoppable and making team fights just like a complete mess. Old Eldegoss in the beta, it Buddy Barrier, Unite moved, and then went through like 3 ability rotations, and team fights took years or something. I'm considered it like A+, needed a little bit of tuning. Not S tier like a lot of people were saying. Like, Eldegoss can still be strong, but it's not as oppressive as it was in the beta, so it's just there. And as like the only healing support, it's also in a weird place because there's nothing else to compare it to, but seeing less Eldegoss, and it's not as ridiculous as it was. Kramer Ant. This is where my personal bias comes into play. It doesn't look like they touched Kramer Ant, really. Like, they might have buffed Air Slash or Dive, but that's still not as good as Hurricane or Surf, and the Unite move is still really strong. Like, Kramer Ant's just the same. And I had it at S tier, still feels really S tier. Very hard character to learn. Like, you need to be almost flawless with your Hurricane and Surf placement, but if you do that, you just win lane. That's the big thing about Kramer Ant. Kramer Ant can win lane against pretty much anything. Probably the best laner in the game, tied with like a Alolan Ninetales, and then you just get ahead and you stay ahead and you just keep shutting people down, and then you have so much CC and damage. Like, you have a high level of support, tank level of CC, but you're doing like half of someone's health. You know, if you hit 2 people in team fight, maybe even 3 people with Surf Hurricane, you just took out like 1.5 health bars worth of things. Like, 3 people are now at half, and you're just 1 person. The rest of the team follows up, and then Unite moves happen. It's crazy. Kramer Ant, also one of the strongest Unite moves in the game. You position it perfectly, and you can 1v4, 1v3. You can secure Dreadnought, Rotom, steal Zapdos, wipe out an entire team at Zapdos. Kramer Ant's nuts. And like I said in some of my other videos, just watch my gameplay, watch my live streams. You'll see what I'm talking about. Pikachu fell from grace. Pikachu just felt S tier, oppressive, too much damage at too much range, but now it's not doing as much. It's weird because we'll never know. We'll never know the stats from the beta, and we'll never know like if there was actual like major adjustments, but it does feel like Pikachu is just not as strong, not as crazy in lane, not as high damage in the late game, and because of that, it's just always suppressed now, and Pikachu isn't taking off. Like, really good Pikachu players exist out there and can still like make games pretty difficult for the opponents and just like still have really commanding moments, but it's not 100% this Pokemon is stupid. So Pikachu's like B tier now, and once again, we're comparing to other things. Why pick Pikachu when you just be Zeraora or Gengar or any of these other Pokemon I'm talking about? Kramer Ant does take like some very high skill cap, precision, and really understanding it. And maybe Kramer Ant falls to A tier if more people play it. Like, no one sees Kramer Ant that often, so it's like they just sit in whirlpool sometimes, or they like let themselves get set up on. Kramer needs to wander around, get that Surf just right, and then wait for someone to jump on them, and then Hurricane and strafe back a bit, get cool. Like, Kramer Ant's complicated. Kramer Ant's got some shenanigans, so maybe once it gets discovered, it's going to fall down. But Pikachu, it's there, it's good, you can pick it, but it doesn't win lane as hard, and it doesn't win game as hard. And also, why pick Pikachu when Ninetales is S tier? I think since some of the other Pokemon got nerfed, like, okay, Talonflame doesn't feel as crazy, Eldegoss doesn't feel as crazy, Pikachu, all these other Pokemon don't feel as crazy, and I don't think they did anything to Ninetales, so now Ninetales is just stupid in lane. Like, it's a lot of range, it's a lot of CC, you pair it with almost anything else, and yeah, it can, like, really good Ninetales players are absolutely filthy. You can't do much about them. And then they can just shut down entire lanes, and then the late game is ridiculous. Aurora Veil under a coordinated team, it's S. It needs a nerf. I'm gonna say that. Like, of Pokemon that need a nerf. Again, I don't think Cinderace needs a nerf. I think Cinderace is a wonderfully balanced S tier Pokemon, but Gengar needs whatever damage happens slightly reverted, or like it needs a lot knocked off of that Hex combo or Sludge Bomb or whatever, and then the other things need to be buffed, so there's like more diversity of Gengar. Zeraora, everything overtuned. Zeraora is the new Crustal. Gengar is also the new Crustal. Whatever happened to Crustal, do it to those two, then we're okay. Ninetales, Roar Veil needs to not give as much durability. I think Ninetales' damage is fine, to a degree. Early game, tone down the damage, knock off its durability to where if you get on Ninetales and make it through the wall of CC, it just should not survive anything ever, and then we might have something. So, got some dangerous Pokemon right there, but Ninetales is pretty absurd. Next up, Wigglytuff. I want to say, like, it's B. Like, Wigglytuff's landing is A tier, A plus tier, but the double slap still has the same problem where it's super strong early on and then it falls off. Wigglytuff's Unite move is good, but it's not Mr. Mime good. Sing is good, but there's a lot of mobility in CC. You can, just tag Wigglytuff at range while it's trying to sing onto you, and then it doesn't get to put the entire team to sleep. You can also just dash out of it or flash out of it, and a lot of Pokemon can just escape Wigglytuff, kite it out, and then Wigglytuff doesn't get to do anything. So it can still be really good. It definitely wins lane. I also think there's a lot of potential in rollout. High skull cap, not Mr. Mime level skull cap. Mr. Mime like secret S tier. Wigglytuff maybe secret A minus tier. And you can still be good and you can still do things. So that's that right there. Slowbro, C tier, C minus. It's too weak. Slowpoke is too weak in the laning phase. Doesn't really do anything. And like, yeah, you can get to level 4 pretty easily, pretty quick. But at that point, you've already lost like the first rotation of creeps. So it's harder to get to level 4. And then when you get there, you're still behind the enemy. And if you're laning with someone, you're a liability to them. So you're also hindering them. And that's where I'm also deducting points from Slowbro, because you're just dragging the team down for too long. Like, Slowbro does scale. Surf does crazy damage and has a lot of crazy utility. And if you roll up onto someone with Surf and then you just throw your amnesia sucks, never picked that, but you go to your telekinesis and then your slow beam, yeah, you can like you can just make it to where no one else is playing, or one other person doesn't get to play Pokemon Unite that game, but you're also not playing as well. Like, your goal is to hopefully target the right person, but if someone else gets in the way, that can ruin your whole thing. If a tank gets up on you and someone's in your face and just kind of like stuffing you out, you're not going to be getting the right targets, and you just can't get to the right targets because of Slowbro in that way. But also, yeah, like, I've seen some Slowbro have like really strong defense, but that's all Slowbro can do. All Slowbro can do is maybe like 1v2 lane and then hide under tower, but it has to give up so much. And even in like a 2v2, it can really just kind of like show itself for a brief amount of time and then just hide and be stupid. It prevents scoring really well, but you're just giving up too much and you're putting yourself too far behind. Machamp, A tier. Submission's ridiculous. And I think they buffed it. They might have like touched up Machamp just a little bit. Feels a lot more successful. Like, I feel like Lucario and Machamp switch places from the beta. But yeah, like, you Unite move and you're killing 2 people. And if you're, even with submission, you can like run steal citrus berries in the slow zone. You can just yoink whoever you want. So Machamp is good. Maybe they buffed its durability because I feel like it's getting onto people a bit more efficiently as well. And yeah, you beat up on people. Not as good as Garchomp in some situations, but also Machamp, like, you run at someone and their game's over. They have no say in it. There's no counterplay to a uniting, submissioning Machamp. No matter how much mobility, it's done. Your game is over when it comes to Machamp. And that's it for now. So, Gardevoir not in the game yet. Clefable, we have no idea what happened to him since like over a year ago with the gameplay. And then Blastoise coming out soon. So, there we go, guys. That is the updated Pokemon Unite tier list. Some things got shuffled around. Please take this into consideration when going into your games and all that other fun stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.